Ever catch yourself wondering why, your energy or your mood can feel so different at various times? Or maybe notice big changes in your body over the years?
No,
Well, often the reason behind those shifts is something really fundamental. It's your hormones.
that's exactly right. And today, in this deep dive, we're really going to explore the huge impact these hormonal changes have on women's health throughout their entire lives.
From the very start, like menstruation, all the way through menopause.
Exactly. From start to finish, well, not finish, but through all the major stages.
We've been looking at some really interesting info from North Atlanta Women's Care. They published an article back in October 2024 called Understanding the Impact of Hormonal Changes on Women's Health.
Yeah, it does a great job of outlining the different stages, the shifts, and what it all means for physical health, emotional well-being.
Sexual health, too.
Absolutely. And our aim here isn't to just read you a medical textbook. We want to unpack it, look at the key moments, the challenges women often face,
Yeah.
and maybe touch on solutions like hormone replacement therapy, HRT.
Right, so you can walk away with a clearer picture of what might be happening in your body, or maybe understand someone you care about a bit better.
Feeling informed, hopefully empowered, not just buried in jargon.
Okay, let's dive in. Where do we start? Puberty seems like the obvious place.
Definitely. That's the beginning of the whole reproductive journey, typically kicking off somewhere between, say, 9 and 15 years old.
And the big event there is menarche, the first period.
Right. And what's driving all this? It's rising levels of key hormones, estrogen and progesterone. They're like the messengers telling the body it's time to mature.
So estrogen, for example, that's involved in breast development.
Precisely. You see breast growth starting, the menstrual cycle begins. It's a time of really rapid physical change.
It's not just physical, is it? Those hormone fluctuations, they really impact emotions too.
Oh, absolutely. Mood swings are super common during puberty.
Yeah.
It's often tied directly to those hormones going up and down.
And maybe some anxiety too, all this physical changes happening so fast.
Yeah, that can definitely be part of it. It's
Yeah.
a lot to adjust to, physically and emotionally. It can feel a bit overwhelming sometimes.
So many of us have been there, or we're seeing our kids or nieces go through it now. A really foundational time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so after puberty kicks things off, we settle into the regular menstrual cycle, that monthly rhythm.
Yeah, and the interplay between estrogen and progesterone here is fascinating. First half of the cycle, estrogen generally rises.
And that helps build up the uterine lining.
Exactly, getting it ready just in case. Then, after ovulation, progesterone takes the lead, peaking to prepare that lining for a possible pregnancy.
So ideally, if hormones are balanced, the cycle, menstruation happens without too many major issues.
That's the idea. It's this really intricate dance happening every month.
Understanding that hormonal basis can be really insightful, can't it? Especially for something so many people experience month after month.
Definitely helps demystify it a bit. Okay, so moving on to a time of even more dramatic hormonal shifts. Pregnancy.
Oh yeah, that's like hormonal overdrive, isn't it?
Totally. Estrogen and progesterone levels just soar. They skyrocket to support the developing fetus and maintain the pregnancy.
It's pretty amazing what the body does.
And it really is. And those huge increases, they're directly linked to a lot of the classic pregnancy symptoms. The nausea, the fatigue, sometimes pretty intense mood swings.
It's all part of that hormonal cycle.
And then after the baby arrives, there's another massive shift, right?
Yeah, a really rapid drop in those hormones.
A very steep decline. And this postpartum period is crucial to understand. The source we looked at, North Atlanta Women's Care, mentions a potential link between these sudden hormonal drops and things like postpartum depression.
That's so important. It really shows how powerful these hormones are for emotional well-being too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyone who's been pregnant or close to someone who has can probably relate to just how intense those hormonal effects can feel, both during and after.
Okay, let's shift gears to another major life stage, menopause.
Right, so this marks the end of the reproductive years, usually happening somewhere between, say, 45 and 55.
And the key hormonal event here is a decline.
A really significant decline.
Yeah.
The ovaries produce much less estrogen and progesterone. It's a natural transition, but yeah, those shifts cause symptoms as the body adjusts.
We're talking about the classic things like hot flashes, night sweats.
Mood swings, vaginal dryness.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of those are common.
It sounds like quite an adjustment.
It is. And it's not just about those immediate symptoms. These changes around menopause can have longer-term effects on physical and emotional health. that are really important to be aware of.
And since this affects so many people, understanding that hormonal underpinning is key, right? For managing it well.
Absolutely. Knowing why these things are happening is the first step. So let's dig a bit deeper into how these changes affect overall health across all these stages. Physically first.
Okay. So weight and metabolism. Estrogen's involved there.
Yeah, it plays a role in how your body uses energy and distributes fat. So when estrogen levels drop during menopause, it's pretty common for women to notice maybe gaining a bit more fat around the abdomen.
That makes sense. And bone health. You mentioned hormones affect that too.
Big time. Estrogen helps protect bone density. It sort of keeps the balance between bone building and bone breakdown in check.
So less estrogen means
Less protection. The balance can tip towards more bone loss, increasing the risk of osteoporosis, where bones become weaker and more likely to fracture.
And cardiovascular health. Is there a link there as well, especially with menopause?
There can be. Lower estrogen after menopause might affect cholesterol levels, potentially nudging the risk for heart disease up slightly.
So it's something to be mindful of.
Definitely. The article really stresses being proactive, regular checkups, healthy lifestyle, all that good stuff becomes even more important.
Right. So beyond the immediate symptoms, there are these longer-term physical things tied to estrogen decline. What about emotional and mental health? We touched on mood swings.
Yeah, and that connection is really strong. Mood swings, anxiety, even depression can pop up or worsen during times of big hormonal shifts. The menstrual cycle, pregnancy, and postpartum, menopause is often directly linked to those changing hormone levels.
And sometimes these feelings are, manageable, part of the normal fluctuation.
Exactly.
But other times, they can become really difficult, right? That's when getting help is important.
Absolutely crucial. If mood changes are seriously impacting your life, reaching out to a doctor is the way to go. And cognitive health is another piece that brain fog some women describe during menopause.
Yeah, like trouble concentrating, memory lapses.
The article mentions that can be a pretty normal part of the hormonal transition. Just knowing that can be reassuring sometimes.
It really helps to know it's not just you, it can be a biological thing happening. Okay, what about sexual health? Hormones must play a big role there.
Oh, definitely. They're tied very closely to libido, sexual desire, and also function. Like, lots of women notice their desire peaks mid-cycle.
Around ovulation.
Right, when certain hormones are highest. But then conversely, during menopause, as estrogen declines, libido often decreases. And lower estrogen can also cause vaginal dryness.
Which can make intimacy uncomfortable.
Exactly. It can really impact relationships and quality of life. So these changes are widespread.
Okay, so given all these potential challenges, especially around menopause, the North Atlanta Women's Care article talks about hormone replacement therapy, HRT.
Right. HRT is basically about topping up those declining hormone levels, mainly estrogen, sometimes progesterone too, to ease the symptoms of menopause.
And it's not just one single thing, is it? There are different types.
Correct. There's estrogen-only therapy. That's often for women who've had a hysterectomy, so they don't have a uterus. It's good for hot flashes, vaginal dryness. Then there's combination therapy, estrogen plus progesterone. That's usually for women who still have their uterus. The progesterone protects the uterine lining from potential risks linked to taking estrogen alone.
So the benefits sound pretty significant relief from hot flashes, night sweats, dryness, mood swings.
Yeah, it can make a huge difference in day-to-day comfort and well-being for many women. Plus, there might be longer-term benefits like helping with bone density, reducing osteoporosis risk.
But there have been safety concerns in the past, haven't there, about risks like breast cancer or heart issues?
Yes, absolutely. And that's a really important conversation. Those concerns are real and have been studied extensively.
So what's the thinking now?
Well, the understanding has evolved a lot. Treatments have become much more personalized. We know more about different types, doses, ways of taking HRT.
Yeah.
It allows for safer approaches tailored to the individual.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Definitely. The key takeaway is that deciding about HRT needs a really thorough chat with your doctor, weighing your specific health history, your risks against the potential benefits. It has to be individualized.
That makes complete sense. It really highlights that managing these hormonal changes isn't something you should just, tough out alone. Professional guidance seems crucial.
Absolutely. A tailored approach is vital. What works for one person might not be right for another. A healthcare provider can help figure out the best path for you based on your needs at whatever life stage you're in.
And North Atlanta Women's Care, our source today, They emphasize that kind of personalized care, offering guidance, tailored treatments, support for everything from period issues to menopause symptoms, including those HRT discussions.
Exactly. So bottom line, if you're experiencing symptoms you think might be hormonal or you're just curious about options like HRT,
Talk to your doctor.
yep, that's the essential next step. Get personalized advice for your own health.
Okay, so wrapping this up, it's so clear that hormones are just this fundamental, constantly shifting force in women's health. They shape so much physical, emotional, sexual well-being right across the lifespan. They really,
Yeah.
we really hope this deep dive has maybe shed some light, offered some clarity on this pretty complex topic, giving you a bit of a shortcut to understanding it all.
Yeah, we hope so too. And, thinking about how deeply these natural hormonal shifts impact life, it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Wonder what?
Well, with all we know now, and with personalized medicine advancing, what's next? What new research or maybe different kinds of care could further boost well-being and help women navigate these transitions even better in the future?
That's a great question to ponder.
No.
What could future support look like? Interesting thought.